Hello everyone, this is Joker and my review and preview of the British Grand Prix. The review of the previous one, I know I'm a little bit late with that, I'm sorry. Due to time constraints and work and stuff like that, I am a little bit on the late side. But yeah, without any further ado, let's go to the results of the qualifying. Hamilton grabbed pole, Bottas made sure it was Mercedes lockout, Verstappen on third, Leclerc on a very good fourth spot, and Norris, then Stroll, Sainz, Ricciardo, Ocon, and Vettel, and the rest. Well, it was all very close. It is a really close tight midfield pack. That shows how good some of the others are. But if you see how very close it is, it's not so strange to see that Albon is so far down the line. It's no longer about a few tenths of seconds that makes you safe. No, it makes all the difference in qualifying. They are that close to the Red Bulls, and Verstappen is just that much ahead of the rest of the pack. So you could basically say Formula 1 is now Mercedes, Verstappen, and the rest. And yeah, I'm not going to go on about that too much because I probably will make a mention of it about every race unless something drastic happens. And then we have the results of the race, as you probably already know, but let's recap a few. Hamilton first, Verstappen second with a 5 seconds deficit, and Leclerc with his Ferrari on third place, 18 seconds behind that. That's a major difference, especially if you know what happened. And very good fourth place for Danny Rick, Norris. On fifth, Ocon, not bad, but then again he's driving a Renault who are not bad. On sixth place, Gasly, he is doing so very well in that Alfa Tauri. Albon 8th from starting 12th. Yeah, he had a few problems along the way. Stroll 9th, not his best, far from it. And Vettel 10th, with a lot of car troubles as well. Right, Bottas 11th, because he had a puncture, he had to come back in. And more on that a little bit later. And then, well, without naming them all, Hulkenberg, I want to talk a little bit about him. He had such a hectic weekend, so much preparation. He didn't know he was driving. He flew to Silverstone, fitted the seat simulator, all, and then one tiny detail of the car made sure the car wouldn't start, so he couldn't start the race. Such a shame. We all love that he is back, even if it is just for 1 or 2 races, and then that happens. So terrible, so heartbreaking, I would say. Not just for Hulkenberg, also for Perez, because Perez, he has been tested positively for COVID, and well, testing positively is always a negative thing. He had to sit out that race, and he has to sit out next race. So yeah. Right, that's enough about that. Let's talk about Lewis. Last lap puncture. He had a comfortable lead, but when things like this happen, nothing is comfortable. It started with a puncture of Valtteri Bottas. that was not a last lap. It was the lap before that, or even the lap before that. But in the last 2 or 3 laps, Bottas got a puncture on a very unlucky spot. He was just away from the pit lane, so he had to drive all around, nursing his car, making sure it didn't get worse, get fitted for new tires, and well, basically the damage was done. And I mean racing point wise damage. It's basically a miracle that he managed to get it back into the pits with how much he still had to drive. And then Lewis. Few corners to go. He got a puncture as well. Just at the point where Verstappen also pitted. And many people say, yeah, if Verstappen hadn't pitted, he would won the race. Maybe. And why I say maybe, first of all, in hindsight, it's easy to say if he didn't pit, he would have gone past Lewis. However, hindsight, his tire was so much worn down that because of the same curb troubles or debris, easily his tire would have gone as well. And after Bottas' failure, and yeah, it was just the safest bet. It's better to hark in a safe second place than a maybe first place. We've seen it before with, I don't know which race it was, where both Ferraris blew up. Red Bull, just to be sure, brought in Max Verstappen to make sure his tire didn't blow up. And it was the right call. Why? Safety first. In this case, it is safety of the position. So, yeah. It's a good thing that they brought Verstappen in. It's no use contemplating what if. Because the what if could have easily been did not finish. Or out of the points because, a flat tire. If Bottas can drive a tire like that, if Lewis can drive a tire like that, Max probably can as well. But it will not give you the points you want. Except for Lewis. He managed to keep his lead well enough and even get his car, nursing his car over the finish. And after that, he even managed, without dangerously driving, so please don't bring that up. Without dangerously driving, he got it over the finish and even to Parc Fermé. And for anybody else, can you drive like that? Yes, the rubber is still on. You're not driving on the rim. As long as you're not driving on the rim of the wheel, you are allowed to keep on driving safely. And safely in Formula 1 is always a relative term. Lewis did it safely. Like it or hate it, this is an iconic finish that will go down in the history books. The race itself was not spectacular. Something happened in the beginning and something really spectacular happened at the end. And that basically summed up the whole race. But that finish, the three-wheeled finish, Lewis is the only driver to have managed that. Not a three-wheel finish, but a three-wheel first finish. He is equaling now the great Michael Schumacher. Schumacher finished second or third with 3 wheels, but Lewis made it a first of first. So he deserves some respect for that, liking or hating. And I'm just talking about the driver Lewis, not what he is doing outside of Formula 1. Even though he drags it into Formula 1. That's a different discussion I'm not going to have. Right. Driver of the day. But that's not why I bring up this picture. We're going back to Silverstone. More or less, we're staying there. Who I think will get pole position? I think it will be Lewis again. He has something to prove to himself that he won this race fair and square last time. And Bottas, even though he's too frustrated and he has the ability to beat Lewis, I think Lewis will just take that same energy and stay ahead of Bottas. The first one I think this time to go out of the race is Romain Grosjean. He shows signs of frustration as well. And he's starting to do dangerous driving. And then he tries to compare it to Max Verstappen, but he ups it a notch, where it goes to dangerously driving. He got away basically with it last race, but I don't think he will get away with it all this race, and it will cost him, one way or the other. Third place, Max Verstappen, because unless something drastic happens, the Mercedes will be in front of them. Max had lucky being on second place last race. Yes, it will be warmer this race weekend, but the Sunday has so far been seen as cooler. So, yeah, that will not really help. The training will be hotter, the compounds will be softer, but I think it will not be enough and something drastic happens. So for my second place, Valtteri Bottas, even though he now has the motivation to do better, I do think it will not be enough, because he is not the only one motivated. First place will again go to Lewis Hamilton. And with that, I conclude this little video. I hope you like it. Please leave your comments down below, your predictions down below. And will it be another boring race, or will it be totally different? Leave those comments down below as well. Everybody, stay safe, and see you all next time. Bye bye.